Hello and welcome back to Exothermic Plays Games. I'm Exothermic and the date today is Friday, June 14th, 2024. I've been doing a countdown of my favorite video games of all time through each day of the year, and coming in at number 201 is A Bird Story. A Bird Story is the second game to come out of Freebird Games, which is Congao's game studio, and one you'll want to become familiar with as we start to work our way into the second half of the year. 3 of them tell a unified story. This one is not directly, at least, part of that. It serves as a sort of prequel to the second game in the story, but it's not necessary that you play this to follow along with the rest. That being said, you should. A Bird Story is, as with every other Freebird Games title, written, developed, and directed by Congao. He has help with the actual production of the game, but it's otherwise almost all him. He writes the story and dialogue, comes up with the game design, and even composes all of the music. Gao's music is so incredible, I'm convinced that were he not so busy doing everything else for these games, he'd be working on some pretty major titles as a composer by now. The gameplay is extremely simple, basically being a glorified point-and-click adventure game, where instead of pointing and clicking, you're moving and pressing a button. All of Congao's games are largely this, though there's some segments that are a little more involved. The games are focused on compelling storytelling, with minimal mechanics getting in the way. This game follows a young boy named Colin, who, between school and home, feels very lonely. His mom has to work a lot to support the two of them, so she's usually gone when he gets up in the morning and doesn't get back until late at night. He has to walk to school, where he's not a very attentive student, instead daydreaming about airplanes, but gets bullied a bit by other students, framing him for disrupting the class, which frequently gets him kicked out and into trouble. On his way home one day, jumping puddles in the rain, he notices a bird being chased around by a badger. The bird is injured and can't fly, so he takes it in, and nurtures it back to health. During this time, the bird and him grow quite close, constantly playing together, and even bringing him attention at school to make new friends. Whether it be projection or real, Colin sees the bird's desire for flight as similar to his own as he continues his fascination with planes. There's a really beautiful segment of the game where you're in this sort of dream state, flying around on a gigantic paper airplane with your bird friend, visiting floating islands in the sky. After this grand flight, the bird flies off for real to go be with its bird friends. Though this wasn't a surprise to Colin, the departure hit him pretty hard. I mean, think about it. This bird was not only his first friend, but also taught him to open up and make other friends as well. The bird absolutely changed the entire trajectory of his life, and now it was gone, as if none of it really mattered. The whole thing is, I think, quite tragic. But Colin presses on, taking the lessons he learned with him, until an unknown number of days later, the bird returns to his window. It won't be staying for long, but it's an emotional goodbye, told through the themes of trying to teach the bird how to play fetch with Colin's paper airplanes. That visual cue, combined with the powerfully emotional music, really drives the game home. It's a simple story with a simple message. The name of that piano piece is Tomorrow, and I think the game is really about living in today so that we can be better prepared as people for the trials of tomorrow. Join me tomorrow as I talk about my 200th favorite game, where I pretend I'm not awful at bowling.